Canada's Wonderland is the largest and best amusement park in all of Canada. For many years, this park was known for crazy flat rides and a sizable but lackluster coaster lineup. Cedar Fair unlocked this park's full potential. They've continued to enhance this park's world-class flat lineup, but they've finally given this park the unique and top-tier coasters they've deserved and desperately needed. This is why I think this is one of Cedar Fair's best parks now. Just be careful with those crowds. I'll cover everything you need to know about this park in this review. Following in the success of Kings Island and Kings Dominion, Kings Entertainment Company wanted to expand their theme park offerings. Multiple developers, including Walt Disney, had considered the Toronto area for a new park. This was the 7th largest metropolitan area in North America, and it was also just a short drive away from Niagara Falls. Yet this area did not have a major amusement park. The area was a potential gold mine. Canada's Wonderland opened in 1981. The park opened with the most coasters in all of Canada, and the park has not ceded this record ever since. In fact, this park is the 3rd most coasters of any park in the world. Yes, this park has more coasters than even Cedar Point. Today, Canada's Wonderland features 17 different roller coasters, and number 18 is on the way for 2023. The park has always had the quantity, but the quality didn't come until Cedar Fair took over in 2006. Kings owned the park through the 1993 season. The best ride they had during their tenure was Vortex, an aero suspended coaster. Paramount owned the park from 1994 to 2006. The best coaster they had was probably Backlot Stunt Coaster, unless you're immune to the roughness of Flight Deck or Time Warp. Cedar Fair acquired a park in 2006 with 14 different roller coasters, but no standouts. This was immediately fixed. In 2008, the park added Behemoth, one of the better Balger and Mabillard hypercoasters. Following on the success of that ride, they added the first B&M Giga Coaster in 2012 with Leviathan. These two rides forever changed the skyline of this park and gave them a formidable 1-2 punch. Then Yukon Striker, arguably the best dive coaster, was added in 2019 for good measure. But Cedar Fair has done more than just add coasters. They've improved the park in every facet. They've continued to add wacky flat rides. They've transformed the kids section into one of the largest of any park. They've kept the park fresh and clean, and they've brought over their speedy operations. The latter is critical for this park. Saying this park gets busy is an understatement. As of 2019, Canada's Wonderland was the highest attended seasonal park in North America, pulling in nearly 4 million people per year. That's more than other mega parks like Cedar Point, Hershey Park, and even Six Flags Great Adventure. Heck, the park came darn close to topping Knott's Berry Farm for the highest attended park in the Cedar Fair chain, and that park is nearly open 365 days per year. Canada's Wonderland is open half that. They're typically open May through October. Then Winterfest runs in November and December with limited rides available. Coasters are run to their maximum capacities. The newer B&Ms will be run with 3 trains and reasonably fast dispatches. Those rides are people eaters. Some of the rides Cedar Fair inherited do not have the best capacities, but the park does load and dispatch them quickly at least. A lot of rides have assigned seating, but the operators will typically grant seating requests if you ask nicely. It's not uncommon for the headlining coasters and the lower capacity ones to have hour-plus waits. If the weather forecast is sunny, it's almost a guarantee there'll be long lines. There are 2 ways to beat the crowds. One is free, and another is not. The free way is to visit on a rainy day. As long as there's no thunder and lightning in the area, the park will run almost everything. Just pack a poncho and reap the benefits of minimal crowds. And the park is pretty resistant to closing early for the day or not even opening at all, which is an issue for other parks on days like this. The costly way to maximize your visit is to purchase a paid Fastlane Skip the Line pass. This costs roughly an extra 100 to 135 Canadian dollars as of 2022, but you will walk onto all the major rides. This is highly recommended if you can afford it. Unless you visit on a rainy day or use Fastlane, I think you need 2 days here to experience everything. You have all those coaster credits, plus a few you'll likely want to re-ride, and some unique flat rides that should not be missed. My recommended touring plan depends on a few things. First, is the park offering early entry? On select days, pass holders can enter the park an hour early, and you're given exclusive ride time in one of the 3 B&Ms. On these days, I recommend arriving a half hour before early entry and marathoning whichever B&M is offered for a majority of that hour. You then want to join the rope drop crowd for Wonder Mountain's Guardian 10 to 15 minutes before official opening time. Wonder Mountain's Guardian is a royal pain to experience. It is the park's most inefficient ride by far, both from a capacity and reliability standpoint. Each train seats just 8 riders, and multiple seats have been closed in my recent visits. And in 3 of my 4 visits ever since it opened, the ride has been closed for at least half the day. Riding this coaster first will maximize your chances of A, getting on it because it usually opens with the park, and B, not burning 1 to 2 hours in line, especially for a ride that's prone to breaking down later in the day. If you don't have early entry, you'll want to arrive at least 30 to 45 minutes before posted opening time and join the rope drop crowd for Guardian. Now you may think you'd be safe with Fastlane, but you're not. A few of the lower capacity rides, including Guardian, are not included on the skip the line system. If you need all the credits and you have Fastlane, your early morning priority is to knock out all those excluded rides. 7 of the coasters are not on Fastlane. After Guardian, you'll want to hit Fly, the Mach Wild Mouse, and Bat, the Vekoma Boomerang as quickly as possible. Then it's smart to hit the omitted family coasters. Thunder Run and Silver Streak can get half-hour waits on busier days. Then if you care about Boo Blasters, the park's Shooting Dark ride, and Whitewater Canyon, the park's River Rapids ride, those are 2 other rides missing from Fastlane that can get sizable waits. If you knock these out early, you can have a stress-free day, skipping all the lines for the other major rides. If you don't have Fastlane, what you do after Guardian depends how credit hungry you are. If you want all the credits, I would probably still do Fly and Bat next before those slow-moving lines back up. If you care more about quality, I'd go to Behemoth next. Most crowds seem to head towards Leviathan and Yukon Striker in the morning, so it makes sense to zag when people zig. And a note about experiencing Yukon Striker. This coaster is a single rider line that can save a ton of time if you're riding solo. Lines stay open right up until close, so I would recommend hopping in line for something with a long wait like Leviathan right before close. Speaking of which, if you visit on a busier day, it can take a while to leave this parking lot. Keep that in mind if you have somewhere to be immediately after you leave the park. This logjam is particularly nightmarish on days when the park has fireworks at closing time. It took me 2 hours to get out of the lot on Canada Day this past year. Okay, I've spent enough time talking about lines, so let's delve into the park's atmosphere. I really like the look of this park. It has a similar overall feel to a park like Kings Island or Kings Dominion. It's not themed to the nines, but most areas look nice. The signature rides have nice entry signs and plazas. Then many rides have fresh coats of paint. The whole park has a clean look to it. And there is a decent amount of shade too for a Cedar Fair park, which comes in clutch on hot summer days. Then you have a few bits of theming that give the park character. International Street has the quaint shops and fountains of Kings Island or Kings Dominion. But instead of the Eiffel Tower, you have Wonder Mountain. This is a really cool centerpiece for the park. It could belong at a Disney park between the detailing on the rockwork and the picturesque waterfalls. And at certain points of the day, divers jump off those falls. Then a few areas have some light theming, most notably the new Frontier Canada section. Then I really like the feel of the kids areas. Kidsville and Planet Snoopy are placed back to back, and these sections feel like their own amusement park. They feel isolated from the rest of the park because their perimeters are lined with trees, and the other areas of the park don't really bleed into this section. Then you have nearly 30 different rides. Some are exclusive to kids, while many can be comfortably enjoyed by kids and parents alike. These lands make Canada's Wonderland one of the best parks for children in my opinion. I forgot how big this section was until I walked through the entirety of it in my recent visit. And along with the quantity of offerings, the area is brimming with energy as rides have bright and flashy paint schemes. Now let's talk about the ride lineup. This is the bread and butter of the park. As mentioned earlier, Canada's Wonderland is one of the largest coaster lineups in the world. For thrill seekers, it is extremely top-heavy though. The 3 B&Ms are the true standouts. Leviathan is my favorite of the trio. This Giga Coaster doesn't have as many elements as B&M's other mega coasters, but the first half is exceptional. You have one of the best drops in the world. That plunge offers 4 to 5 seconds of very sustained floater airtime. It feels like you're falling forever. Then you have breakneck speeds and some good airtime moments too. The speed hill combines airtime and laterals, while those two giant camelbacks deliver several seconds of strong and sustained floater. I wish this ride had a better finale, but everything up to that point wows me as I cover in my review. If you want length, Behemoth is for you. This hypercoaster is nearly 1 minute and 10 seconds of prime ride time. The first drop really yanks those in the back downwards, offering some forceful floater airtime. Then the camelbacks all deliver better airtime than your average B&M Hyper. The airtime feels a bit stronger and more sustained. Then the Helix finale adds in a pinch of positives with a few final airtime pops. While I think the airtime is superior in back, a few of the valleys do have a rattle back there, which I note in my review. Yukon Striker is my favorite dive coaster. Yes, this ride has vests, but the layout is strong enough to overcome those more restrictive restraints. The first drop is fantastic. You get several seconds of sustained floater airtime, paired with that awesome visual of diving into the underwater tunnel. Then the rest of the layout is shockingly forceful. The ride pulls great G's in the valleys, and on 3 of the 4 inversions. The other inversion is a giant 0G winder chock full of hang time. No other dive coaster can match Yukon Striker's layout or forces. The only other really good coaster at this park is Vortex. This is the best remaining aero suspended coaster for a few reasons. 1. The pacing. This ride holds its speed well start to finish. It has a sizable initial drop, then the rest of the layout stays close to the ground. 2. The forces. The valleys and Helix pull some serious G's, and any directional change is accompanied by great swinging. 3. The setting. It's really nice how this ride goes above Wonder Mountain, and then over the water and around Yukon Striker. I really hope this ride isn't on its last legs, because it adds a lot to this park. Some of the supporting thrill coasters are less than stellar though. In fact, this park is a quartet of trashy steel coasters. Flight Deck is among the worst Vekoma SLCs. I would honestly advise skipping this ride unless you like splitting headaches. This invert is intense, I will not argue that, but your head will take a beating on every single transition. Not wanting to leave kids out, Silver Streak is a junior Vekoma suspended coaster with equally as bad track work and similarly bulky restraints. The end result? One of the most uncomfortable junior coasters out there. This ride will try to smash your head and back at every opportunity. Bat is among the worst Vekoma boomerangs. This is a rare version that runs an aero train, and it doesn't track as well. The inversions are as forceful as ever, but it can be uncomfortable getting jostled about while also getting pummeled with positive G's going both forwards and backwards. Time Warp is another much maligned coaster. I don't hate Zamperla Volares as much as most other enthusiasts, but I cannot deny how janky the experience is. You ride in a cramped cage, and some of the abrupt transitions can throw you about if you don't brace yourself properly. I personally enjoy the scary hang time on the barrel rolls and the forces on the turns, but again I know I'm in the minority. I'd really like to see this park get another smooth and enjoyable looping coaster. Beyond Yukon Striker, the only other okay looping coaster is Dragonfire, an old aero looper. This one isn't too rough, and the 2 vertical loops have some serious power to them, but the ride just cannot match the looping coasters from the past 3 decades. The wood coasters can also rough you up if you ride them on a wheel seat. Mighty Canadian Mindbuster, or Spinebuster as some call it, is one of these woodies. I really like how this ride's out and back layout travels through the water park. You get some fun near misses with slides and walkways. I don't find the ride too uncomfortable, but it is pretty lackluster. The hills are too drawn out to offer any good airtime. Wild Beast is the better adult woody. This one has more of a bite to it, so definitely avoid the back row of a car. But this ride has some redeeming qualities. There are several decent lateral moments, particularly on the banked bunny hills, and some of the hills do offer airtime. Nothing world class for airtime, but you will pop out of your seat a few times. The final wood coaster is Ghoster Coaster, a fairly mild junior coaster. It is rare to see a wood coaster targeted towards kids, so I know I would have loved this as a kid. It sure beats your average junior coaster. I already mentioned 2 of the junior coasters, but there are plenty of other family coasters. Just beware the lines for these attractions. Fly is one of the rare mock wild mice with a sizable drop at the start, before heading into the usual series of hairpin turns that offer laterals. Thunder Run is a pretty typical powered coaster, but it does have a unique setting in Wonder Mountain. The ride feels far faster than it really is for this reason, and it even gives some laterals on the helixes. The other coaster inside the mountain is Wonder Mountain's Guardian. This art and Triotech creation is mostly a screen-based shooting dark ride. The animation and ride condition is not the best, but I highly recommend this ride alone for the finale. It is downright incredible, especially if you do not know what happens. Backlot Stunt Coaster is the park's lone launch coaster, and also their best themed coaster. This premier multi-launch coaster takes you on a car chase through buildings, past police cars, and into the sewers. This ride isn't too fast, but has a few weak pops of airtime, and that initial helix is shockingly forceful. It is an automatic gray out for me because of how long those G's are sustained. The final coaster is Taxi Jam, the park's Mylar Kiddie coaster. I haven't ridden this one because adults need a child to experience it, but the flurry of bunny hills look like they have some pep to them. While not all the supporting coasters are standouts, this park is arguably the best and most interesting flat ride lineup in North America. You will find some one-of-a-kind and or rare flats here, many of which offer more thrills than the coasters. Sledgehammer is the most notable. This is the only Huss Jump 2 ever fabricated. This ride looks mesmerizing with its giant claws bouncing up and down, and that motion offers sensations similar to an S&S drop tower, between the blast upwards and the free fall back down. Skyhawk is my favorite. This Gerstlauer sky roller can offer the most dizzying ride in the park if you know what you're doing. Riders can rock their weight and use the paddles to invert themselves. It takes both patience and technique to get that first flip, but once you get that, you can get an infinite series of fast inverted barrel rolls. Then this park could serve as the showground for Mondial, especially with Tundra Twister opening next year. That ride looks nuts. Shockwave is one of the few Mondial top scans in North America. It doesn't have the highest top speed compared to other versions, so the flips were not quite as violent, but it's still intense as you get some solid sustained laterals and some nice hang time in the slower flips. And I forgot how close this ride comes to fly. That is a pretty terrifying visual as you hurtle towards the ride. Soaring Timbers is one that looks better than it really is. This Mondial Inferno looks like it should offer flips galore, but I don't think you ever fully invert. The motion is extremely disorienting though. You come close to going upside down, and do get a bit of hang time. Then the low points offer positive Gs. Just beware if you're claustrophobic. The seats in this one are extremely cramped and uncomfortable. Riptide is a weird Mondial topspin with two disconnected benches. The positive forces are not as intense as the Hust models, but this ride does have sweet hang time on the few flips it offers. Cyclone is a giant frisbee also from Mondial. The ride cycle is pretty short, but the max swings have nice floater airtime, and the downswings have good positive forces too. Windseeker is a 30-story tall swing ride from Mondial. This ride ironically closes in the slightest of breezes, but it does offer a breathtaking 360-degree bird's eye view of the park when it's operational. Drop Tower can offer a pretty good view on its own though. This Intamin drop tower is a solid drop. It has a good freefall sensation and some weak floater airtime. I just wish the operators didn't come on the loudspeaker and spoil the moment you drop. And the flat ride lineup just keeps on going. You have Lumberjack, a Zamperla swinging pendulum with good hang time over the top. Then you have Wild Nightmares, a supersized Huss roundup that'll plaster you to the walls. Then there are plenty of other spinning rides scattered about the park. For dark rides, you have the aforementioned Guardian and Boo Blasters. The latter is another interactive shooting dark ride, but all the effects work in this one. Most of this ride has the usual 2D blacklit figures, but there are one or two animatronics mixed in for variety. For water rides, you have two options in the dry park, plus that water park. Whitewater Canyon is a scenic Intamin Rapids ride through the woods. Most of those rapids are pretty weak, but there is a soaking when towards the end they'll hit a few guests. Timberwolf Falls takes no prisoners. This Hopkins Shoot the Chutes is a zippy plunge, and it creates a massive splash that'll soak everyone from head to toe. Then you also have the included water park and Splashworks. I've only gone to this section to get videos of Mighty Canadian Mindbuster and Behemoth, but it looks like a solid water park. There are plenty of tube slides, a tower of some intense trapdoor slides, and some milder pools and play structures. Then you have a truly unique attraction, the Mountain Bay Cliff Jumps. where you jump from an elevated platform into a pool down below. This reminds me of a bigger version of the cliff jump at Mountain Creek Water Park. Honestly, this probably looks like the scariest attraction in all of Canada's Wonderland. Now it's clear this park has a ton to offer. Day tickets can cost 50 to 70 Canadian dollars, but I think that's more than worth it for the sheer quantity of attractions. And if you plan to visit multiple days, you can usually add on a second day for just a few extra bucks. Or you may want to look into a season pass because this includes parking, and the highest tier includes the other Cedar Fair parks as well if you plan to do a lot of traveling. Moving on to the food, I can't speak too well on this front. Because of how long the food lines are, I typically eat a big breakfast and find something after I leave the park. The only items I've had inside the park didn't really impress me. I tried an all-you-can-eat buffet over a decade ago, and the quality was just okay. Nothing stood out. Then I got Subway in a recent visit because it was the only food place without a line, and I found out why because my foot-long sandwich cost over $20. So do I recommend Canada's Wonderland? Absolutely. This is not only the best park in all of Canada, but it's one of the best parks in North America. I love this park's atmosphere, the top-tier coasters, the unique mix of flat rides, and those great operations. It's a delightful combination. Sure, the coaster lineup thins out fast, but I just prioritize re-rides and the quality rides. The biggest downside with this park is how busy it gets, so just plan accordingly unless you like waiting in long lines. I recommend this park for everyone. It's by far the best park for locals. Then this park should be on every coaster enthusiast bucket list. Then I think this is well worth a day trip from Niagara Falls if you're in the area. After my most recent visit, I think this may be my second favorite park in the Cedar Fair chain after Cedar Point. It's right up there with Kings Island for me. The park is that good. So those are my thoughts on Canada's Wonderland, Canada's largest and best amusement park. What are your thoughts on this place? Do you agree it's a top tier Cedar Fair park? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canada Coaster. Thanks for watching.